Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Eight of Bows in Hearthfire. And I know we just talked about this card about 10 days ago, because it was sitting pretty darn close to the top as I'm, putting them back in the deck. So, the word that came to mind today as I was thinking about this card was team. Okay? As you've been working on your spiritual path, it's your spiritual path. So you're doing what you need to do, to get to the point where you feel comfortable with your spiritual guidance, your spiritual work, your spiritual path, where you're at. Okay. But sometimes it takes a team to get there, to give you the support, to give you, that pat on the back and, to hold you accountable for getting to where you need to be. Okay. Now, when I talk about a team, let's look at a relationship. If you have a strong relationship, you have a strong team. You and your significant other, you agree to disagree, you agree to agree, and you disagree to disagree. When you're out there in the world and you're shopping for stuff, right, you're communicating to each other on what you want within that house, all right, or whatnot. And, there may be some disagreements, or maybe some agreements, there may be some, hey, I don't know, right? But if that relationship is strong, okay, and it's built around teamwork, all right, you're going to get that project done at the house, that much quicker. Or, if somebody's controlling the budget and the other person's doing the work, the person controlling budget may say, you know what, we may need to go to a different option, all right? And it's teamwork. Within that relationship, that's that Hearthfire moment, okay? It's the communication between each other. Bows is all about, fire and passion. But at the same time, Hearthfire is an opportunity, to communicate, to spend time with others, all right? In solving goals, in creating projects, completing projects, making sure that the projects can be done in a timely fashion and in a budget, right? So, that's one example within a relationship. Now, if you take that Hearthfire moment to work, look at your department that you're in. Look at the company that you're in, okay? There may be little microcosms of different organizations within that one organization. You might have an engineering group. You might have an accounting group. You might have a marketing group. You might have a customer relations group, right? Within those groups are small teams. And I guarantee you that all those, within that group, all those members that are in that group communicate to get their goals done, okay, to get the task of the day done. And maybe on Friday afternoon, everybody says, hey, I'm heading up to the local distillery and, let's kick one back. And everybody's like, yeah, let's go. We completed the task. Let's go have some pizza or something like that. That's that Hearthfire moment where you're communicating, you're working towards the same goal, all right, and you're building relationships. You're building opportunities to achieve desired results, all right? That way, when the next project comes on, you can celebrate those wins. Now, when every organization is doing that, the microcosm within the organization, every department is doing their best, the organization does its best. And maybe, come tax time or at the beginning of the year, people get little bonuses. They get profit sharing checks. Okay? Everybody starts working towards that same goal of the organization. Now the whole organization is working as a team, and they all have that Hearthfire. Maybe the CEO comes out and says, hey, pizza's on me for the night. And everybody goes out and has pizza. Or, maybe there's an event down at, the local ball club or something like that where, hey, we're going to take everybody to the ball game. Okay? Things of that nature where it promotes team. It promotes Hearthfire. Okay? It promotes that togetherness of helping each other out. All right, and then, let's also look at your social networks. Your social networks is its own separate Hearthfire moment. You hanging out with friends. Maybe they're from work, maybe they're from family, maybe they're from someplace else that you don't, remember. Maybe they're from school. Okay, and once every blue moon on a Friday night, you guys get out and you kick one back for pizza and and beverages. And it's reconnecting. It's using that Hearthfire moment where you can each lift up a glass and say, "Hey man, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. How's things going? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the dog? Been camping a lot? Been canoeing?" And just reigniting that passion that you have with others. Okay, so there's 3 examples, within that relationship, within that community, within that, work situation, where Hearthfire moment, takes on a greater meaning. Okay, now, talking about team and your spiritual development, there are others behind the scenes that are helping you out. Your ancestors, right? The ones that have moved on, that are helping you develop your path. There's a team of people there. Maybe it's parents, siblings, cousins, grandparents, great-grandparents, right? Maybe there's people from past lives that are helping you move forward. Okay, and within that element of the other world, which that king of vessels, that heron, represents, you're able to touch base with loved ones that have moved on. Okay, your guides. Okay, things that are just not of the natural, right? There's that team that's supporting you. There's that team that's helping you develop your spiritual path to get you to the highest level that you want to be. All right? They're pulling for you. They're pushing for you. They're giving you opportunities that you're not even aware of to see how you react. The universe is looking at it and saying, you know what? Jill is doing a great job on her spiritual path. Let's just help her out a little bit more. Give her some more joy. Let's see how she gets through, this little challenge. And see if she uses those spiritual talents to move forward. What I'm trying to say is there's an unseen team that's supporting you as you're moving forward. And there's that Hearthfire moment with them. So when you're out and about and you're celebrating, with friends, with family, with coworkers, lift one up to those that have moved on, to give you the knowledge and the wisdom to get through hard days. Lift one up when you have those celebrations and say thank you. Thank you for guiding me all these years. Thank you for giving me the love and support when you were here. And I know you're giving me that love and support when you're not here. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the 8 of Bows and Hearthfire. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and give me a thumbs up. And this is D for a Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, God bless, and stay safe, everybody.